We got a lot of work to do. Certainly, we've got 4 years to continue to build that even better Calgary. There are a lot of things we need to work on, a lot of things we need to continue from the first term. But the first step is to sit with the new council and work out together what our strategies are going to be for the course of the next year. We certainly have a lot of flood cleanup to do, and we've got the opportunity to start thinking about how we plan our next 4-year budget cycle.
There may be new faces in council, and there are some words said during the campaign. How are you going to make sure that everybody works together?
Well, remember that when I took office in 2010, we had an incredibly fractious council, and they, had trouble talking to one another. And 9 of those folks were on the council that I inherited in 2010. And I think we've done a pretty darn good job on working together. And I hope that we put those behaviors in place on our council, and I think that'll happen with all of the newly elected council members as well.
Have you talked to any that it may appear like they may not be joining you yet, or any of the type?
No, I mean, there's a lot of races that are still incredibly close. It seems like there's a lot of surprises in early numbers, and I'm sure I'll have more to say about that in the morning.
What impact did the developers and this slate that you were talking about, what impact did that have on the race?
So far, looks like none whatsoever, but we'll see how things end up tomorrow morning.
Are you concerned about a more conservative leaning council?
Again, I don't know what the results are, but it sure doesn't look like that's happening yet.
What do you think of the turnout? What does it say to you?
I don't actually know the numbers yet. Do you know? Anyone? No, that was like 3 o'clock. So, sorry? 30-something. So, I was hoping we would crack 40. Certainly, one of the biggest issues I had over the last few days was people saying, you got it in the bag. We're super happy with the way the city is going. Does it really matter for us to vote? And that's something I've been trying to counteract for weeks now.
You said housing was going to be one of your first, looking up.
I really hope.
Housing was going to be one of the first priorities in the first couple of months. What are you going to do?
I won't look at you when I answer that question if it's okay. So housing is definitely a priority that's on the minds of every Calgarian, and we need to look at short, medium, and long-term solutions in order to think about how to ease particularly the rental housing and entry-level housing crunch. And so I'm hopeful that over the next couple of months we'll be able to bring together people from across the sectors, developers, builders, nonprofit people, city people, to just stop, and including the province and the federal government who must be at the table, to just stop and say, look, what we're doing now isn't working. We're not increasing the supply of housing as well as we could be. What do we have to do to make it better?
What about your vote results? Like you got 75% or so. Are you concerned that you didn't go into decline Bronco numbers?
As long as you get one more than the other guy. Yeah, I want to say thanks to John Lord, and I'm glad you mentioned it. I want to say thanks to John Lord for running, for having the courage to run, and for standing up for a particular point of view. He's contributed an enormous amount to the community over many, many, many years. Certainly has been an elected officer longer than I've ever been, and certainly has done a lot for the community in non-elected office. And I want to say thank you to him very much for coming out and for making this a race.
Thanks, folks. We've got to go, unfortunately.
Can we see the watch really quick? Because you talked about it. We need to see the watch.
The crystal is all cracked.
Again,
but,
and again, the story with your dad?
Yeah, so my dad bought this watch in 1974. And probably it was not an expensive watch then, but they didn't have any money, so he must have scrimped and saved for this watch. And I've been wearing it ever since I've been mayor, and it's particularly poignant since we lost Dad last year. And I think embedded in this watch is not just the story of my family, but the story of so many Canadian families. It's the story of Canada, and it's the story of Calgary. And even though it's a little battered and might need a little refurbishment, I think it's got 4 more years in it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
See you tomorrow.